This video is going into specific examples of microgames that you can look at for inspiration as you create your own. For this challenge, I really want you looking at the kinds of games that you can replicate. They need to be simple enough that you don't get overwhelmed by all the moving parts and different balancing, and they need to be short enough that you can create the core quickly. What I do not mean by microgame is Wario's in-lore microgames. These are designed like QuickTime events. It's 1 to 2 button presses, test your reflexes. These just look and feel like actual games. Again, we're going to open up talking about tabletop games because microgame is a much more common and well-known term there, so it'll be easier to show off. One of my lunchtime favorites, this is Sid Sackson's Bowling Solitaire, and he uses a standard deck of playing cards and a simple mathematical game in order to replicate bowling using simple components. Another one worth looking at is D-Day Dice. There is a published version of this, but what we want is the simple print and play version. It uses 7 standard dice of 3 different colors and 1 page printed out. And you roll the dice to earn soldiers and resources, which you use to move up the board and try to take the bunker at the top. And Love Letter is a good example of how you can use a small number of components and heavy social interactions. So there is 8 unique cards, and all you're trying to do is be the player at the end of the turn with the highest value card. Each card type has a unique power that can potentially eliminate other players from the running. A few others worth looking up. We have something like Twin Stars that uses 2 6-sided dice and a couple of cards to create a nice little adventure game. Or Utopia Engine that uses 1 page of paper and I believe it was 2 6-sided dice in order to do these like mathematical get your score up as high as you can games. And that was a lot of fun. It was one of my first print and play games I've ever done or have ever played. And Star Patrol Micro is one of the Diceman game brands, and all it uses is 1 6-sided dice and a single page of paper. Video games get a little bit more complicated because it really depends on your current skill set. There are things that I can do in a week that will take somebody else multiple months just because I've been doing it a lot longer. Let's open up by getting the standards right. The first game I ever programmed was text on the screen that says you stand before 2 caves. In one cave, a treasure beyond your imagination, and within the other lies a hungry dragon. Which cave do you enter? And just take your pick, cave 1 or cave 2. If you pick cave 1, you retire rich and happy. If you pick cave 2, at least the dragon knows, or at least you die knowing that the dragon is no longer hungry thanks to you. That was it. And that one took me days to write for a simple text-based project. What you should be looking for is any game that has heavy repetition of one simple system. So this is Wave Shooters or Vampire Survivor likes or Endless Runners. And they tend to be either score or achievement focused. And really you can look at absolutely any Atari era game, and those make for very good starting points for your own development. I know that you have much higher expectations of yourself making games than a Breakout clone or some Atari game. What if you added lasers? Or what if it's in full 3D? Or what if you're using it to fight the devil? Or what if it's a story-based action game? You start small so that you can learn to make something bigger. That's the entire point of making a microgame, is learning to finish one thing and learning how to evolve it over time. As long as you start learning today, it won't be long before you start working on the games you always wanted to make. See you next time.